The news is also live on Kazmi 107.1 FM and across the world at StreamNews.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Minority caucus in Parliament demands the immediate dismissal of the Director-General of NACCA and a bipartisan inquiry into the circulation of alleged pro-LGBTQI content in Teacher's Manual. Also on the program this afternoon, Ghana Private Road Transport Union GPRTU deploys task force to identify commercial drivers who are exploiting passengers through arbitrary fares amidst complaints of vehicle shortages. And much later on the program, Industrial and Commercial Workers Union ICU-Ghana warns government against any attempt to sell the Volta Aluminum Company Limited VALCO despite operational challenges. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Now, the minority in Parliament is demanding an immediate dismissal of the Director-General and Board Chairman of the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, NACCA, over the gender identity content in the Senior High School Teacher Manual. The minority says the leadership of NACCA failed in its oversight responsibility as the government attempts to introduce LGBT activities into senior high school curriculum. Addressing journalists, the Member of Parliament for Otafo, Vincent Eko-Asafo, called for a withdrawal of all teaching and learning materials containing such content, among other demands. Christian Yale is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. He's been following this press conference. He joins us live on the line. Chris, what more can you tell us as regards what the minority is saying?
In fact, the minority started arguments from the back and forth concerning the anti-LGBTQ bill, the fact that it was passed in the 8th Parliament, but the president then, Nana Akufo-Addo, could not sign it or did not sign it into law. And the fact that in the current Parliament, it has been relayed, it was advertised for the first time and was withdrawn or not advertised again until they went on recess. So Eko-Asafo makes the point that this government, while in opposition, put a lot of pressure on the NPP to pass and assent that law. However, ever since they came into office, they have failed to show that political will that they are ready to pass this bill into law. They believe that all of that is what has yielded into this pro-LGBTQ content that has surfaced in the physical education manual for SHS. So going forward, they are making a simple demand that the Director-General of NACCA is dismissed immediately, and then the board chairman of NACCA as well. They want a broader stakeholder discussion that involves the clergy. So you have the imams, you have the pastors, all involved, so that they can all bring their diverse contributions. But he makes the case that because Ghanaian values are more LGBTQ matters, they are of the view that it should be one way forward, that the recognized sex or sexes are male and female. And also they make a case that, contrary to what the Minister for Government Communications, Phyllis Kwachofosu, said yesterday, it is not true that this pro-LGBT content is a legacy content. I.e., it is not true that it is the NPP's government that initiated this whole conversation about comprehensive sexuality education. That is not true. And it's true that they introduced this concept to the teacher manual. So these are the issues that the minority caucus has raised. But you know that Ekwasefa himself was part of the sponsors the bill when it was introduced, even the first time in the 8th Parliament. Beatrice.
Thank you very much, Christian Yale. Let's hear the minority addressing the press earlier.
That there is an immediate withdrawal of all teaching and learning materials containing LGBTQ related content, including redefined concept of sex, sexuality, sexual orientation, sexual rights, and gender identity from all schools. You remember when NACCA brought their statement, as it were, to respond to Reverend Ntimfojwo, they made mention of the fact that the current manual has been withdrawn from the schools. And Dr. Apak also made Ghanaians also know that even though it has been withdrawn, he referred us to an online version of the manual. In that online version, it is even worse. The definitions of what sex, sexuality, and others are is even worse in that online version. The minority is also demanding a transparent and inclusive review of all affected teaching and learning materials involving Parliament, religious bodies, traditional authority, parents, civil society organizations, education experts, and teacher unions. 3. The dismissal of the Director-General of NACCA and the chairperson of NACCA board for failure of oversight and breach of public trust. We say so because NACCA is now telling us, assuming without admitting, that the document was developed by the NPP government in 2024. If you don't believe in it, why then do you go ahead to go and even print them in 2025? That is causing financial loss to the state, because these are teacher manuals that you have printed and distributed across the country. And that is why we are calling for the head of the NACCA CEO and the board chairperson of NACCA. The institution of a full parliamentary inquiry by the appropriate committee of the House into the development, approval, funding, and circulation of these materials, including the role of external partners.
And you heard there Vincent Eko Asafwa. He's the Member of Parliament for Old Tafo and a member of the minority in Parliament. And as you know, the Minister in charge of Government Communications, Phyllis Kwachofosu, is already insisting that the claims by the minority members are founded because NACCA had already withdrawn hard copies of the supposed teacher's manual, which improperly defined gender identity before Reverend Ntimfojwo first came out with a concern.
I think that sometimes he gets carried away in his advocacy. I have a friend who describes that conduct as overzealous charlatanism. You see, he was in government when the comprehensive education curricula was introduced, and we had similar happenings where there were things in there that we found distasteful and at variance with Ghanaian cultural norms and practices. There was some public outcry. I think that curricula was withdrawn. Even before Reverend Ntimfojwo went out to make these claims, the NACCA itself had withdrawn about 700 or so copies of the manual. It is a manual. It's an instruction manual to teachers of physical education and health in senior high schools. I think there's just one line about the description of gender, which proved problematic and offensive to the sensibilities of the people of Ghana. That has subsequently been withdrawn. Indeed, I have been sent a copy of the approved manual by NACCA, and it does not contain the offending words. So that matter has been addressed. Government certainly It's not about to promote anything that is at variance with Ghanaian culture. So whereas we welcome scrutiny, it's important that such claims are toned down on. Overzealous salatanism, it is not something that we should encourage. It is not necessary to attempt to put what is not there in place.
And you heard the Minister in charge of Government Communications, Felix Kwachofosu, the Northern Regional Secretariat of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, and the Association of Yellow Riders in Tamale this afternoon urging the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority to ensure easy, seamless and accessible registration for the new national number plate system when the exercise is finally rolled out. Though they lauded the decision by DVLA to introduce the new vehicle registration system, they believe that more engagement with relevant stakeholders is key. The Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority has announced the introduction of a comprehensive new vehicle registration number plate system as part of a broader reform aimed at modernizing Ghana's road transport and vehicle identification framework. Let's go to Tamale now and engage with my colleague, who is our Northern Regional Correspondent, Christopher Amoako. He's been following this story, Chris. What else would you say the leadership of GPRT and Yellow Riders Association have been telling you about the new number plate system?
Yes, so what they have been saying has to do with the fact that the new number plate that will be rolled out by the DVLA later this year is something that, looking at it, is going to impact them positively because of the security details that comes with it. They are also of the view that one person can own several vehicles, and that with the new number plate system, as they have been educated on, the person's information will be on the same, will be on each of the vehicles. So when there is when the owner sells the car and wants to change ownership, it will become very easy for them. They will no longer rely on people outside to do the registration and enforcement for them. Everything is going to be done at a centralized point. So they believe that it's something that is going to impact positively on their work. But their concern has to do with the fact that when the rollout begins, the DVLA officers should be opened for them, such that you don't have to go and queue for long hours before you are attended to. Let's take a listen to some of the concerns they've been raising.
The new registration is a very laudable objective. It's in the best interest of transporters and Ghanaians. One, for security reasons, it's a very laudable objective. The registration also is not going to be rushed upon. It's going to be done within a period of 2 years. So there's no need for us to rush. We all have to take our time, know when and how to go about the registration. And we're only waiting for the LI to be passed before we then know how much each and everyone has to pay before the new registration takes off. That was why I've told them that they should not centralize the enforcement at one particular place. It should be done at all DVLA centers. The enforcement should be done at all DVLA centers, which will go a long way in the fast-tracking the whole issue. Instead of minimizing it at some vantage points, it's going to, when they do that, it's going to pile a huge lot of lock onto their system.
And you heard that GPRTU and Yellow Riders Association members speaking to Christopher Mwakon, who is still on the line with us. Chris, I also understand that officials of DVLA have been engaging drivers and vehicle owners at some bus terminals. Are you able to tell us what they told them?
Yeah, so since last month, the officials from the DVLA have been engaging stakeholders, especially vehicle owners and drivers, to explain to them the new number plate registration system that will be introduced. And yesterday and today, they've been in the central business district of Tamale, that is the Abuabo market and the central market, to engage these drivers, engage all the relevant stakeholders to ensure that they get an understanding of the new number plate system that they are going to roll out later this year, because even though it was supposed to start on the 1st of January this year, but because they have not received parliamentary approval, that is why the delay. But they are encouraging people to begin, who already have vehicles spanning from 2023 to begin going to their offices for what they describe as onboarding, so that when the rollout begins, there will not be any challenges trying to go through the processes. Let's take a listen to what the DVLA officials also have been saying.
I do a follow-up. Last year we did a stakeholder engagement. So this year we are just doing a reminder and alerting them that the new number plate system will still come off because people are throwing all informations around. So and GPRTU and as you can see, today is a market day. All the vehicles are here, the drivers are here, the car owners are all around. So we are just here today to let them know that we will soon do the new number plate system will still come off and the advantages it will bring to us. As you can see, the regional chairman is here, and then the other officers, when we met them, they are very happy. In fact, they were not sure whether we will roll it out, but we will. As soon as Parliament passes the LI, when they resume, we will be we are ready. In fact, everything is set, but you have to follow the law. So we are just waiting for the law to be passed, then we hit the road running.
And you heard there some DVLA officials in Tamale speaking to my colleague Christopher Amwako. Chris, let me ask you my last question before you go. One other major issue which is dominating conversations in the last few days has to do with challenges of passengers or individuals, both workers and students, in getting vehicles. What's the situation like in Tamale where you are? Okay, we've lost Christopher Mwako there, but like I told you, every single day during rush hour, thousands of commuters are trapped in endless queues at bus terminals, losing precious hours before reaching their destinations. Christian Yale spent the night at a 37 lorry station right here in Accra, coming face to face with exhausted passengers. This is part of a special campaign by TV3 and 3FM exposing the deepening crisis in the country's public transportation system.
We are coming to you live from Medina, Zongo Junction, and it's a busy morning here, but you see hundreds of people who have lined up here in different queues. There are some who are going to Accra. And so this particular queue that you see,
Moko Chiblo, okay. So this vehicle is headed towards Chiblo, somewhere Teshi.
In at least every 5 minutes, they get vehicles coming to park to convey them to their various destinations in Accra Central. I'll take you shortly down further where you get to see other queues of people commuting to Kwame Nkrumah Circle, as well as other areas like La Paz and other communities, adjoining communities over that stretch. But this is one that speaks largely about how effective or not our public transportation system is. Let me try to see if I can get, and these are school children or students who should have been on their way to school right now. Eja, where are you heading to?
Accra.
Accra, for how long have you been here?
1.5 hours. 1.5 hour.
1.5 hour, you've been standing here to get a car?
Yeah.
You are going to school, and you
Oh,
have
I am coming to you
here, be here. You have to be, what time should it be in school?
7:30.
7:30. And my time tells me there's 7:14.
Yes, please.
And there is no hope that you are going to get a car anytime soon. When you get to school late, are you punished?
Yes, please.
Sometimes we're going to town. You won't get car early. You stand there maybe around 11-12 before you get a vehicle to Accra.
Around 11, you come here in the morning early like this, and you have to be here till 11.
Get it early. It's not always that you get it early. Yeah. So we are suffering.
Well, I've been here for about 20 minutes now.
About 20 minutes now. What are you from?
I'm going to cantonment. We do this in the morning. You wake up very early in the morning to go to work. You close very early and late. And then you have to come and struggle again for about 2-3 hours before you get home. It's very hectic.
We always come here and stand here to get cars, so we are just used to it.
This is not a story that Ghana wants to tell at this moment. I am Christian Yale with my camera, John Ninepence. We have been coming to you live from Medina, Zongo Junction. Back to you in studios.
Indeed. And meanwhile, the Transport Minister, Joseph Bukari Nikpe, says the government is engaging the management of Metro Mass to repair faulty buses and deploy them during peak hours to ease the burden on commuters.
We are also at the verge of seeing how we can get the private sector to bring in more of the buses and other vehicles to be able to help when it gets to peak hours in the mornings and in the evenings. But we have called back. When we withdrew the services, we saw the tension it created, and we have called back some of the buses to start again making their movements. We are studying the ground to see.
And you heard that the Transport Minister, Joseph Bukari Nikpe. Let's bring you some more here. And anti-corruption crusader Adam Senanu says it is likely the government can recoup some of the monies from the contractors of Agenda 111. The Ghana Audit Service issued a surcharge against 35 contractors to pay $7.9 million US, approximately 94.6 million Ghana cedis to the state. The amount was paid to them as mobilization fees to execute Agenda 111 project on 19 sites, but they failed to deliver. Here's Adam Senano speaking earlier to us.
So I think what the Auditor General is saying is basically went to site. There was no evidence that these contractors had prepared the site, nor moved to site, nor engaged the services of anybody to work. And that's why they are saying that this money should be paid back. I'm not sure we'll get all of it back. It's likely we could get some. I think it's much more likely if you insisted that people should still deliver on the tasks or projects that they have been assigned.
And you heard there Adam Senanu. He is co-chair Citizens Movement Against Corruption and an anti-corruption campaigner. Meanwhile, the Minister for Health, Dr. Kwabena Mintah Kando, is chairing a two-day stakeholder engagement focusing on the Agenda 111 audit report conducted by the Audit and Evaluation Services Limited and the introduction of a special purpose vehicle management system for hospital equipment at Adan. The United States government has announced an indefinite freeze on immigrant visa processing for Ghana and 74 other countries as part of a broader effort to tighten immigration controls and prevent applicants deemed likely to become a public charge from entering the country. The U.S. State Department in a memo said, and seen by Fox News Digital, said that consular officers have been directed to pause immigrant visa processing for affected countries beginning the 21st of January 2026, while the department conducted a comprehensive reassessment of its screening and vetting procedures. The move affects a wide range of countries across Africa, Asia, Europe, the Caribbean, and Latin America. Dr. Ishmael Lovo is an international relations expert. He joins us live on the line. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to your listeners.
Doc, which category of immigrants do you believe fall into this bracket, and perhaps what you also believe is driving the U.S. decision to impose an indefinite freeze on immigrant visa processing for Ghana and the 74 others?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, there are two categories of visas here. So you have the immigrant visa and then you have the non-immigrant visa. The immigrant visa applies to people who are intending to permanently relocate, and that is to settle in the U.S. Non-immigrant visas are given to people who are intending on visiting and maybe returning. So in this case, people, including students, including business people, including tourists, may not be covered by the ban that is currently going to come into force. So students, business people, tourists will still have their visas processed. But those who are intending to relocate and settle in the U.S., they are the people of concern. So what's happening is that the U.S. wants to put a ban in order to reform how the processes you go through if you are intending to relocate and settle more permanently in the U.S. And so it's more or less a ban in the context of trying to reform administrative procedure to make it more rigorous, so that those who are perceived as taking advantage of social welfare schemes in the U.S. will find it more difficult to take advantage of such schemes. So the U.S. is targeting those that they perceive that they entered the U.S. primarily to become a burden on the taxpayer in the United States. And this may be informed by the fact that, given their data, I don't know the data that they have, maybe they are seeing more of immigrants from the listed countries that come to the U.S. with certain health conditions that over time become a burden on the U.S. taxpayer. So it is a narrowly self-interest calculation from the United States trying to reduce the number that is entering the United States, and particularly the number that may put some level of cost on the United States.
Indeed, and it falls within America's interest, right? National interest, as it were. It always says America first. But really, what are the diplomatic and economic implications of this move for Ghana and its citizens, and for, again, the other 74 countries?
So, economically, that it only make it more difficult for people who are intending to relocate and settle in the U.S. more permanent. And that translates into reduced remittances, because then it is those kind of people who go there who are able to work and remit some money back home. And of course, it also means that there will be the number of people who will be eligible to enter the United States from Ghana, to settle in the United States from Ghana and the countries listed will be less. And sometimes these procedures may be used deliberately to actually reduce the number of people who are entering the United States for permanent residency. So in as much as health reasons and other reasons may be adduced, behind it, if there's that policy to ensure that fewer numbers are admitted into the United States, then because some of these things can be quite discretionary, so it may be used as a pretext to deny people access to the United States. So in terms of the effect, the long-term effect will be that it will become more difficult for people who are intending to move and settle in the U.S. if they have certain disease conditions, there are certain conditions that the U.S. consider that may influence the way they are drawing from the public purse, then they will be denied. Again, it also comes down to economics. So once it's about you are becoming a burden on the public, then you may be asked to produce evidence of your ability to take care of yourself and so forth. And so it becomes more difficult. Diplomatically, then the other countries have a choice to make. Will they retaliate? But that will not be a good policy, particularly if you talk in terms of Ghana, because in the recent past, we have begun to see a more cordial relation between Ghana and the U.S. So the option that is left is to engage the United States government diplomatically and find out what the main concerns are, particularly in relation to Ghana, and if they can delist Ghana, maybe that will be okay. So yes, these are the implications. It will make it more difficult for ordinary citizens who are intending on relocating to the United States.
So you talk about engaging the U.S. government. Is there a possibility that there could even be a positive outcome when it comes to changing this ban, as it were, or freeze on visa processing for immigrants?
Of course, there is a possibility that they can give you a favorable outcome. If you look at the recent past, there were sweeping visa restrictions, there were sweeping economic tariffs, but through engagement, then we see that Ghana was delisted from some of these lists that were initially published. So once we're able to engage proactively, and the Trump administration have demonstrated that they are quite transactional in nature, and so you must only prepare to see what you can give in if you think that this is necessary for Ghana, if you think that it's a core, it's an important area that if it is not open to your citizens, then you may be losing. But it depends on the calculations you are making as a Minister of Foreign Affairs, as a Minister of Economics, as a Minister of Trade, and other important agencies, Minister of Tourism. So engagement will produce results.
Our time is up.
We must also look at what is the economic effect. Assuming we
I'm sorry, we'll have to end it here. Our time is up. That was international relations expert Dr. Ishmael Lovo. And that's it for the Midday News here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Log on to 3news.com for more news.